Hey guys, I'm back from vacation! Yeah! And way sooner than I expected. So the original plan was that I was supposed to be gone for about 2 months at the most, but I was only gone for about 3 weeks instead. That was fun. Thanks, Sandy, for ruining the trip for us all. So apparently dogs aren't allowed in national parks across the United States because they shit a lot. Yeah, it's stupid. But hey, if you want to join me for the 3 weeks while I was gone, then you can check it out on my other channel, RaisorBlade Alive, where a new episode will come out every Wednesday until it ends, because that's how series work. Series I don't fucking know. But hey, now that I'm back, I can finally get back to reviewing bad movies. And what better movie to come back to than to review a movie that had Kusa Lagoopagoo in it, who, as we all knew, voiced Tiger in American Tail. And he also voiced this asshole. So, over the years, I've learned something about Don Bluth, and it might be a bit controversial to say, he's a bit overrated as a director. Now, I know that's hard to hear, but just hear me out for a second, okay? Out of all the movies he's made, how many movies that he made, and Gary Goldman too, of course, that have been absolutely fantastic, like out of the park, super good? One. Just one of them. The Secret of NIMH was all Don and Gary Goldman, both of them. As for An American Tail and The Limit for Time, they were produced by Steven Spielberg, and then both he and George Lucas. They always had the final say on what happened on both of those movies, and Don commented on both, saying how he felt like he had lost control on both of those films. Particularly with The Limit for Time, with the infamous 11 minutes that were cut out from the final cut, that Don fought tooth and nail to try and save, but basically didn't happen. So, yeah, I think it's safe to say we can't count those two. But even if you do count those, that only makes 3 really good movies. The rest of his library consists of movies that are either at their best okay, or everything that was released in the early 90s. Which we know kind of suck. Don definitely has more turds than gold out there, and today we're going to look at what is arguably, if not most definitively, the worst of them all, A Troll in Central Park. Ah yes, A Troll in Central Park, a movie that nobody is willing to defend. Not even Don himself. There's a bit of an unspoken rule in film, in my opinion, where if the creator of something believes that what they made is bad, be it a movie, TV show, song, etc., then it's bad. Like, that's it. End of story. There's no discussion, no debating, nothing. If the creator of it isn't happy, it's not good. Period. The development of a story is like the development of a child in the womb. It takes time, and it must be done right. And building A Troll in Central Park taught us this lesson the hard way. Don himself said that about this movie. The movie was lambasted by critics with a really low score of 14% on Rotten Tomatoes, which, hey, still makes it higher than both the Emoji Movie and No More Than North, so at least it has that going for it. It's not the worst of the worst. The movie also infamously made a very small amount of money, making only $71,000 in the box office. Now, to this movie's credit, the movie apparently had no real marketing because Warner Brothers didn't believe in the movie, although to be fair, I wouldn't either. No, this movie's absolute trash. Seriously, this movie is so bad, guys, that my own sister actually requested personally that I review this movie. It's that bad. We all have those movies that we actually liked as a kid that, now that we're older, we look back on them and go, dear God, this is why people don't take children seriously, because they like shit like this. So, let's actively hurt ourselves, because that's what I want from my faithful subscribers, for you to hurt yourselves. So, let's begin. So the movie begins in the Troll Kingdom, where we meet our main character, Stanley. He's a good troll who likes pretty flowers and not being bad in any way, and all around just being a pansy-ass bitch. Meanwhile, all of the other trolls in the Troll Kingdom are nasty, mean, and all around just not very intelligent.
Watch yourself! Say, what was that? For a minute, I thought I saw one of them flower things. Oh well, have a rotten day.
Huh. Rough Sleeper, is that you? You watch too much Cuties, I bet? So Stanley has a magic thumb that lets him grow plants just by touching the ground. How does he have this power? It's a stupid kid's film, why ask? I also love it when people in a movie, or trolls in this instance, are so stupid that when something happens right in front of them, they still don't know what the fuck just happened in front of them. Although, to be fair, that's pretty much me throughout this entire film. And my sister too, apparently. Thereby making this troll the most relatable character in the movie, funny enough.
I'm a bad troll, a very bad troll. La, la, la.
Yeah, that's definitely my sister talking. So Stanley has a bunch of flowers in his house that he has to hide from the other trolls because trolls are supposed to be evil, but he's not. He then decides to grow a flower in the middle of his garden, but then it just spontaneously grows super big for no reason at all. It just grows super huge, which makes like no sense at all. Stanley's magic thumb power is really contrived. It's hinted in this opening that Stanley can't fully control his powers yet, like accidentally growing a flower just by touching the ground, or making a rose super big when he meant to make it super small. But he has this giant garden of flowers that apparently he had no trouble with growing anyway, so why aren't his powers working right? You'd figure he'd have full control of his powers at this point if he has a giant fucking garden full of stupid fucking flowers! Not to mention later in the movie, he has full control of his powers anyway, so what the fuck? Is he losing control over the flower just a really convoluted way for him to get busted by the other trolls? I think so, yes. Speaking of the flower, look at it. That is actually a very beautiful flower. I will come back to this later. So the trolls see the flower and bust Stanley, and we have this one troll who actually sounds pretty awesome as a troll, but then he says this.
And for your crime, you are going before the #1 flower hater in the land.
Oh my god, like he has this genuinely really cool voice for a troll and everything, but the moment he says flower hater, it's just gone. It's all gone. Oh, it's so stupid. So we then get to meet Gnorga, the queen of the trolls, who is the one who thinks that all trolls should be evil. She loves being evil, so much so that she sings a really shitty song about it. Oh yeah, did I forget to mention that this is a musical?
It feels delicious to be so vicious. I'm Gnorga, the queen of mean.
So, these songs suck. They're not catchy in any way, they're horribly written, and plus out of all of them, this is the only one that actually kind of has a point to it. This song, as bad as it is, at least does what a song is supposed to do. It introduces a character. It moves the story forward in musical form. The other songs don't do that, but we'll cross those bridges when we get to them.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
So Stanley is put on trial, and the queen wants to stone him right away. And no, that joke is way too easy to make. But her husband, the king, who is voiced by the dirty Bubble of all people, can you believe that? Suggests banishing him instead. They also bring up that Stanley has apparently been in court multiple times, which is never brought up again, so I don't know why I'm bringing it up. So without even knowing what he's talking about, she's able to send Stanley there. Somehow. What? Don't you need the location of where you're sending him to before you send him somewhere? I think it's kind of important, lady! Also, apparently the king knew about New York City, but not Central fucking Park? Which was created way back in the 1850s? Before being officially established on May 23rd, 1963? How do you not know about that? Along with evil, are all trolls supposed to just be fucking brain-dead idiots? So Stanley is sent to New York, again, somehow, and he actually likes it at first, but then he is attacked by some dogs. And let me just say, to the animator who drew this dog's drool, you're working on a troll in Central Park, man. Or woman. Do not bring your A game for this. We then get over 2 minutes of shenanigans with Stanley just running around New York like it's a Tom and Jerry cartoon, and it's just so obnoxious and boring. Despite only being like 2 minutes, it feels like an eternity. So we then cut to the next day, where we're introduced to the human characters who are pretty much just toddlers. Why are they toddlers? I mean, I get that this is a kids movie, and I get that having kid characters in a kids movie will help it appeal better to kids, but why these kids specifically? Now, keep in mind, I know how kids are, okay? Trust me. My sister has 2 kids, and they can either be precious angels or your worst nightmare come to life. I'm sure she would agree with me on this. That being said, these 2 kids are fucking horrible! Rosie doesn't speak much, but doesn't have the charm that Spike or Ferb has when they don't talk. She really doesn't have any form of personality, and when she does talk, it's just random shit. And it just comes across as really annoying.
Boop. Butterfly. Hi.
You don't say much, do you?
Gus has the exact opposite problem. He never shuts up. He's always whining and complaining about everything that happens.
It always has to be later. Why can't we ever do what I want to do? I want to do what I want to do. Stop saying that.
You're gonna take Rosie away from me?
You got it, spaceman.
Oh,
What's happening to it? Wait for you to wreck it even more? It looks stupid.
Again, I know that's how little kids can be, but there's literally nothing else to these kids other than that. So Gus and Rosie want to go to the park, but their parents both have to work. What was that? What was that hand motion? What is she, Italian or something? Oh, don't make me come in there, you little ravioli. Ah, babagooey. So Gus and Rosie sneak out of their house and head to Central Park. And I have to ask, they pass so many adults while walking through the streets of New York, and not one adult decides to maybe step in and do something about this? Hi, yes. Is this CPS? Yes, I found 2 children just wandering the streets of New York and everything, and I figured I would do my civic duty and report it. Said no adult in this movie ever. So while Gus is playing with his motorboat, Rosie finds a little tunnel under the bridge and she falls down into it. This is where she meets Stanley, and from this point on, this movie pretty much has no story. Like, nothing at all. It's just pointless, colorful nothingness on the screen for the next hour. I could fall face first into a fire anthill and still get more entertainment out of that than this movie. Oh no, guys! Is that a ladybug? Oh shit, a ladybug! You Jews thought you had it so bad with the Holocaust. Well, Rosie has to deal with a ladybug! She's lucky to be able to walk after dealing with one of those. Oh, but it's okay. The heroic flower that Stanley created will save the day. Just for the record, we're not even half an hour into this yet. Says a lot, doesn't it? So Rosie kisses Stanley on the face, and Stanley has quite the reaction to it.
Why don't you have a seat?
Like, dude, you don't act that way when a baby kisses you. It's creepy.
I like that a lot. I like you a lot, too.
Dude! You can't say shit like that when you're talking to a 2-year-old like that. It's weird. Now, granted, we don't know exactly how old Stanley is or how, like, troll age works or whatever, but he was old enough to own a house. So I'm also going to assume he's too damn old to be acting this way to toddlers. So now we get the next song of the film, Absolutely Green, which I guess is supposed to be the environmental song in this film, because it can't be an animated movie in the 90s if it wasn't environmental somehow, can it? Seriously though, this movie's about as subtle with its message as Stanley is about how much he likes kids. So there's that. The sequence, however, does bring up that point that I made earlier about the flower. This entire sequence is pretty much Cancer incarnate, but at least it's very well animated Cancer incarnate. This movie suffers from something that I like to call the emoji movie syndrome, which I know is weird considering that this movie came out first, but you get it. This movie clearly had a lot of talented people working on it. Amazing animators, great voice actors, even Don and Gary I still think are great directors who are capable of making great movies when they're in the right setting. It's no secret that the 90s were rough for both of them, but if you want to know more about that, either watch the Animat series about it or watch Saberspark's video about him. But basically to sum it up, it was rough, and the development of this movie probably wasn't all that different. So I guess you can give this movie the slightest pinch of leeway when you take everything like that into consideration. However, this isn't the first time Don and Gary had to struggle to get a movie off the ground, so it doesn't get that much, okay? This movie still suffers from being really boring, cringy, inappropriate, and frankly just really stupid. So, hey, Gus is a thing. Remember him? Now keep in mind, guys, it's only been like 6 or 7 minutes. But it's felt like an hour, hasn't it? So Gus is a little surprised that trolls exist and that flowers can talk. And I mean, just a little surprised. Just a teeny bit, okay? He's not questioning his sanity. He doesn't think he's dreaming. He's just a little weirded out. It's no big deal.
Uh-oh, talking flowers. This is weird.
Like, come on, Gus, you gotta have some form of common sense. Rosie's like 2. She has an excuse. What's yours? So Gus tries to take Rosie back home, which makes her start to cry. Meanwhile, we cut back to Gnorga because she's still a thing in this movie, remember her? And apparently, her big-ass crystal just picks up on Rosie crying. Somehow. Like, seriously. That's the second biggest question this movie's gonna make you ask repeatedly. First one being, what the fuck?
Oh, she sounds so miserable.
What is it with trolls that when a little child does anything, they get horny? Like, what does she even feel? In second thought, I don't want to know. Let's move on from this. So, apparently, a 2-year-old child crying is a really big deal in this movie. So much so that the next 5 minutes will be dedicated to just cheering Rosie up. This is the plot now.
Come on, Dolly. Show us the old smile.
Okay, so clearly it wasn't just the audience that was traumatized by this movie. Clearly the animators need help too. So Gnorga sees that Stanley is still alive, and from this point on, nothing will make any sense from here on out. And I mean that literally. Nothing will make sense At all. I know that's saying a lot considering what we've been through, but trust me, I mean it this time. So I'm just gonna list off every weird thing that happens from here on out, okay? Gnorga makes Gus cry. Fuck. Gnorga makes Gus cry giant tears that flood the cave. Stanley is able to turn Gus's toy boat into an actual boat. Gus apparently has magic?
Why, I believe you believed in saving your sister so much. Your power was stronger than Gnorga's.
Was?
Huh? Stanley saves them from a waterfall that somehow exists now. They fly through a kingdom of friendly trolls. No, you're not on acid. At least I'm not. It's hinted that all of this is a dream, but there was like no segue of any kind that showed us that. It's just happening for no reason, and it doesn't tie into anything. Like, it's never brought up again. It's pointless. It's just fucking random pointlessness. Also, another song happened, and it's probably the worst one of them all. The only redeeming factor for this song is that it's mercifully short. So the movie realized that it was nap time for the kids, so we cut back to Gnorga, where we then see world building and possibly even politics?
Gnorga and Lort. Laughing stock, no authority. Bad trolls turning good at record pace. They say our power's slipping, we have no hold on our people. Oh.
What is this, Star Wars all of a sudden? Because don't forget, that was for kids too. We're halfway through the movie. That's right, only halfway. And now we're getting this kind of stuff? Like really? It doesn't even matter. Like, it's never brought up again after this anyway, just like everything else in this shit film. Literally nothing matters. So Gnorga, pissed off by all of this, me too Gnorga, me too, decides to send the Twister to destroy all of Central Park. Because she could just do that. So the kids are trying to go home finally, but Gnorga attacks them. And let me just ask, what is it with the backgrounds, by the way? This doesn't look like destroyed Central Park. It looks like something out of Dragon's Lair. I get that they wanted this fun, exaggerated chasing and all, but the way it's animated and the backgrounds just makes the whole thing look out of place. Throughout this entire climax, I can't even tell if we're in Central Park or the Troll Kingdom. It bounces all over the place without giving us any sense of setting. Like, there's a freaking castle at one point. Like, where the fuck even are we? So Gnorga captures Rosie, and Stanley's too much of a bitch to help. What a surprise. But Gus is able to save her just by pretty much walking in and opening the dog kennel that Rosie was being kept in that wasn't even locked. First of all, this bitch can destroy all of Central Park just like that, but she needs a dog kennel to hold a 2-year-old? Really? Also, I love how Gus was just able to walk in, no fucks given, and just grab his sister. Okay! So Gnorga, noticing how shitty Gus has been throughout this film on her crystal and probably, you know, stuff, hits him with a spell that turns him into a troll. Okay, so I guess that Gus was supposed to go through like an arc in this movie where he learns to not be such a little shit and be more appreciative of all the things he has and stuff. But it's probably the most flanderized arc I've ever seen in an animated movie. Like, it's so underdeveloped, it almost doesn't even exist. They bring it up in like 4 different scenes, and that's about it. This being one of them. And in the end, it doesn't even matter because Gus doesn't even learn anything.
Why can't we ever do what I want to do? I want to do what I want to do! Dad, do you think today maybe we could do what I want to do?
Oh, I guess he learned to ask a bit nicer this time. Yeah, as if. So Stanley finally grows a pair and...
Well, what do we have here?
Oh, god damn it! Okay, can I just end this now, please? Please? So after a lightsaber duel, Stanley is able to cover Gnorga with flowers and make his escape with the kids. However, Gnorga is able to control Gus's thumb now, and uses that to turn Stanley into stone. Ugh. I hate the thought of Gnorga being able to control someone else's thumb. Especially little kids' thumbs.
Oh, she sounds so miserable.
So Gus and Rosie take Stanley back to Central Park because I guess they were there the whole time. Fuck if I knew. And with Gus's brand new green thumb! Whatever. Stanley comes back to life, because of course he does. And he goes on to take over the entire city, enslaving the humans with his powerful flower army. Turns out this was all part of his plan. Stanley was never a good troll to begin with. He just needed to lower Gnorga's guard, and now that she's officially out of the picture, no one can stop him now. No one. Or maybe this movie's just really stupid. Yeah, I can see why Don Bluth is embarrassed by this one. It's awful. It's fucking trash. It's honestly such a shame that you had such really talented people working on this movie that was pretty much doomed from the start. A Trolls Ninja Park is childish, creepy, boring, stupid, and makes no fucking sense 99.9999999999999% of the time. Truly, this was Don Bluth's lowest point. I honestly don't know what on earth they were thinking with this one, guys. It's truly a disaster. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed my suffering. Lord knows my sister probably did. But hey, now that I'm finally back from vacation, let's see if I can knock all of the Don Bluth films out of the way. So, next time, we're going to be talking about... Oh, that's it! That's it! Dishonor! Dishonor the whole family! Dishonor on you! Dishonor on Mushu! Dishonor on the fucking cow!
Heaven just knows what it was. Will I go back to the place where I belong? Everyone could break my heart, but I try my best.